I don't even know why I'm overthinking trying to start this video because it's really crazy. And like I said and established that, look, I'm not going to be saying what day it is of me talking to camera. I'm just going to come and share my thoughts. So a couple of days ago, I watched a romance movie called Eternity. Funny enough, I'm really not into watching romance type of movies. Like, my genre of movies has really changed. And I'm going to tell you why I really was pissed off when I watched this movie. And if you like the movie, you can let me know in the comments. But this is just me just sharing what's on my mind and why I really didn't like the movie. So yeah, so if you don't know, it's gonna have spoilers. I'm gonna spoil. So if you still want to watch the movie and you still want to know my thoughts, you can always watch the movie and come back. But so the whole point of Eternity is this lady, and I loved the concept, by the way. I know I'm cutting myself off, which is something I do, but I'm not losing my train of thought. Something I do when I talk to camera or just in general. I usually cut myself off because a new idea is coming, but I'm gonna let this one come because it's gonna explain everything. So Eternity is basically a movie about a woman who once got married before and then she lost her husband. So that's how she lost the husband, because the husband was going to war, the war in Korea, and then he didn't come back. And then right afterwards, I think maybe like a couple years later, she meets her new husband, who she then spends 65 years with, and then he dies. So he dies, and then when he wakes up, he discovers that there is actually almost like a... That was really cool. That was really cool. He wakes up and then kind of not wakes up, but then after he dies, there's no real death, if I must say. Life continues and he's shocked, and then he gets there's a whole confusion. So in this space, I would call it limbo, just to make it more understandable. So you don't go straight to heaven or hell or whatever the case might be. You get to a limbo place, and then for a week you are given a choice to choose what kind of world you want to end up in. It almost gave me multiverse vibes, which I really love. I love Marvel type of movies, DC movies, I love superhero movies, I love fantastical type of movies, and I love action, I love horror. So those are my genres. I used to like romance movies, but I really don't, for this reason why I'm going to tell you in this video. So when you get there, you spend a week and you have to choose like which world you want. So the first husband passes away, and they are very old, by the way, and the first husband passes away, the wife stays behind, and then he gets to have a week to decide where he wants to go. And this husband, knowing his wife and what she likes, he actually told whoever was helping him, because they had a person that comes and helps you transition from your death to the next world that you choose. The reason why the movie is called Eternity is because you get to choose one reality or one eternity that you want to spend life in, and there is many options. Those that want to go to heaven, anyone that's religious, people that believe in different worlds. There's even a feminist world where you just drink wine all day. There's an art world, there's a museum world. But the catch is, once you choose your eternity, you don't have a choice to turn back. You cannot skip, otherwise they will catch you and put you in the void. The void is basically the place where if you die, there is nothing, there's just black, there is nothing. So yeah, people choose all kinds of worlds, and then you choose. The husband, knowing that his wife, well, till death do us apart should be like till death do us apart, but he was like, if my wife comes through, he left a message, and he went to a world that he knew she would love, so that he prepares the world for her. And then on his way, then he sees the wife coming to the place. You kind of travel by train. You arrive from, dying, then you get to limbo using a train, and then he sees her, and then he comes back. And then also when she comes back, then she realizes her ex-husband, the one she never had closure with, the one from the war, is also still there. So now she has to choose between the two men, right? And then we had made bets, by the way. The real reason why I watched this movie is because my husband and I made bets. I was like, with the way they're presenting these men, I feel like she's going to choose the first man, like the first husband who died in war, because she never actually got to see what life was going to be like with him. And by the way, just to describe the men, the first husband, the one that went to war, he was good looking, was basically the perfect romance guy, the perfect guy, the one that gets everything in life and everything is sorted out for him. Then the second husband is the more reliable husband. He's not the most good looking, he's not ugly, but he's a good man. He's basically a good man. And even when they lived their real life, they lived a very beautiful life. Of course, it was not perfect. Nothing is perfect. So I don't like how this movie represented him, the second husband, because it always, even the way the people are so biased and the way the movie is biased towards the good-looking, so-called perfect guy, who is not perfect, by the way. And that's the first husband, by the way. He waited in that limbo place working. So I forgot to also add, if you decide to stay in the limbo place, you have to now work. Maybe you take like a basic job. Basically, you kind of continue real life if you don't choose your eternity. So this man dies. He leaves his wife over. He dies at war, and then he stays there for 65 years. But he's just not like waiting for the 65 years. He is very adventurous. He is not perfect by any means. Like, whoa. But then they try sell him so like he was just waiting for this woman doing nothing, seeing no one. Which I'm grown up enough to know that, look, it happens. But the way they keep trying to push this man like he's perfect, he waited all these years. And then this other second guy, it's like, oh no, the best thing that he ever did for the woman was to give her kids. Like, are you kidding me? Anyways, that's also just besides the point. So she then decides she doesn't want both of them. She wants to go to her own eternity on her own because she doesn't want to choose. But this is after she kind of has like a bachelorette. You know those shows, The Bachelor, where you kind of have to go and stay with this guy and stay with this guy to see who you like, which I find crazy. If you want to choose, just choose. Just choose, you know what I mean? Not have to make the men go through auditions again just for you to come back and be like, okay, I've tasted this guy again, I've been with this man again, and then I'm gonna decide not to pick whoever it is. Whether it was men or women, I still stand by what I'm saying. And the reason, and then she chooses to go on her own and be with her friend that she was with from the previous world. Then before she leaves in the train, the second husband, the one she spent 65 years with, comes to the train and he's like, look, I know you did not spend the time that you wanted with the first husband, so please go and enjoy your life with him as well. Oh yeah, and by the way, when she had to do the trials to see which husband she wanted to spend eternity with, they both had to choose two worlds. So the first husband chose a world that he liked, the second husband chose the world that he likes, and then she got to stay with them for a week to see which world she likes. Then she chose to be with a friend, and then on that train, second husband comes and is like, look, you deserve to be happy, and I want you to be happy. Ever since I met you, I've always done what's best to make you happy, because if you are not happy, then I'm not happy. And you clearly going to this second world without you knowing, without closure, is definitely making you not happy. So then she gets off the train and she goes and she stays with the first husband that she never really got closure with. And guess what? After spending time with him, she realizes that she really is not with the new life. And again, confusing the first guy. Like, okay, you chose me, but then now you're not enjoying the life. And then she's like, no, she keeps going back to try and relive the moments she had with the second husband, which she left for the first husband. And now that she's seeing the life she could have had with the first husband, she doesn't like it. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Then she runs out of that world, all dramatic, and then she goes back to that limbo place, only to find out that the second husband actually didn't take a world after that. He decided to stay and work in that limbo place and actually not choose an eternity because he was not happy without his wife. And then the movie just ends with them running away together. She doesn't even like say sorry or anything. She just comes back and they all live happily ever after. And I am like, bullshit. Because if we remove romance out of it, which I'm going to remove romance, I just imagined a situation where I had a best friend, and I lost my best friend first, and then later on I then found a new best friend, right? This best friend has been riding with me for 65 strong years. Then we die, and then we go to the afterlife, and instead of like choosing the one friend that you know has been riding or dying for you for someone that you don't know whether the future is what, you then, make them compete for your attention, and then you choose the first friend. The second friend sacrifices for you so that you'll be happy, and they've always put your happiness first so that the friendship works. then you come and you're undecided, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go stay with this friend, and then later on realize like I've always been your ride or die, because 65 years was not enough for you to prove that, you know, they were there for you. Then you just come back, no apologies, I must just take you back and forget that you actually ditched me for someone else when you already had proof that I was always the good friend to you. Like, no, I don't think in life you should use people like that. I'm not against second chances or forgiving people or anything like that, but choosing me as second, not, let me just take myself out, choosing someone else that you already know is your ride or die second, like almost like it's leftovers, is crazy to me. That's why I really got mad after watching this movie. I was like, you don't get to just use people and then think you can always just come back and things will be fine. It's fine in a movie, but like, nah, I don't subscribe to that. I really don't subscribe to that. Choose a person and stand by your decision. This back and forth, like, it doesn't work. That's just my opinion about the movie, and why I will not be watching another romance, because wow, that's a lot. That's like a lot. Even if we flip the roles and we had women there where both the the husbands were women, and then a man had to choose and come back and be like, no, but I want to know what my first wife was gonna be like, even though I know what the second wife did for me for all these years, and then I'm gonna make them compete for me, and then I'm gonna choose the first wife first, go spend time with her, and then only to realize, no, I was supposed to be with this wife all along. Because come on, I don't subscribe to that. I really don't. Humans are not interchangeable, where you just feel like I will just make someone wait for me for fucking 20 years, then come back to them and be like, yo, I realized you were such a good person and I was an asshole. What? No. Yeah, but that's just my opinion. I just had to vent because that really disturbed my soul. Because remove the romance and then just leave human beings to human beings, whether it's a friend or a cousin or someone that's a loved one. I would not want to be chosen as second. Are you kidding me? And then just take it. Nah.